Hi, my dears. Good morning. Today we can discuss another topic, the decline of Indian textiles. The previous session, who were the weavers we discussed, and today the decline of Indian textiles that we have to discuss. So once we discussed that Indian cotton cloths were famous in the international market, and later it started decline. It's the reason and everything we are going to discuss today. The decline of Indian textiles. So how it happened, we have to discuss. The development of cotton industries in Britain affected textile producers in India in different ways. That means in different ways, the development of cotton industries in Britain that affected the textile producers in India. In different ways, step by step we have to discuss. The first point is that Indian textiles now had to compete with the British textiles in the European and American markets. What happened now? Britain started to produce the textiles. And earlier, Indian textiles dominated in the international market. Now, British textiles also reached in the European and American market. So, here, the Indian textiles now want to compete with the British textiles in the European and American markets. Then, what is the second point? Exporting textiles to England also became increasingly difficult since very high duties were imposed on Indian textiles imported into Britain. Earlier, the cotton textiles from India exported to Britain. Now what happened? To stop the export or to stop the import of cotton textiles to Britain, Britain imposed high duties, high taxes on Indian textiles. So what happened? The export of cotton textiles to England also very difficult because the Britain imposed high duties on import of Indian textiles to Britain. That is the second point. Then by the beginning of the 19th century, English made cotton textiles successfully ousted Indian goods from their traditional markets in Africa, America and Europe. That means by the beginning of the 19th century, what happened? English made cotton textiles successfully. So what was the result here? Indian goods from their traditional markets, especially in Africa and America and Europe, Indian cotton textiles were expelled. They were ousted means they were expelled because the coming of British or English cotton textiles, Indian goods ousted or expelled from the which markets? The Africa, America and European markets. What was the result or what was the impact? Thousands of weavers in India were now thrown out of employment. That means thousands of weavers in India, they want to live without job. They lost their employment. Bengal weavers were the worst hit. Among the weavers, the Bengal weavers, they were very badly, they were affected this. English and European companies stopped buying Indian goods and their agents no longer gave out advances to the weavers to secure supplies. That means in the European market, English cotton textiles dominated. So what happened now? English and European companies, they stopped buying Indian goods and their agents were not ready to give advances to the weavers to get supplies. Distressed weavers wrote petitions to the government to help them. In that situation, the weavers of India, especially the Bengal, they were disappointed. And they wrote some requests to the government, so wrote petitions to the government to help them. But worse was still to come. Worse means that a very bad condition. Again, the weavers, they suffered. By the 1830s, British cotton cloth flooded the Indian markets. More than this, now the European, American and African markets, Indian weavers, they lost their market. At the same time, what happened? The next step we can see here, when the British cotton cloth flooded the Indian markets, these weavers, they lost their local market also. In fact, by the 1880s, 2/3 of all the cotton cloths worn by Indians were made of cloth produced in Britain. That means British cotton cloths imported to India, and that flooded the Indian market. And more people of India, they started to wear the cotton cloth produced in Britain. This affected not only the specialist weavers but also the spinners. So what happened? This import of cotton cloth to India, or British import of cotton cloth to India, negatively affected the weavers and the spinners. Thousands of rural women who made a living by spinning cotton thread were rendered jobless. Earlier we already discussed that mainly the women, they concentrated in spinning. So what happened now? Thousands of weavers depending spinning, now they were jobless. Handloom weaving did not completely die in India. At the same time, the handloom weaving did not completely lose or declined in India, because some types of clothes could not be supplied by machines. Some types of clothes could not be supplied by the machines. How could machines produce saris with special borders or intricate borders, special designed borders, or cloths with traditional woven patterns? This only can do by hands. So these had a wide demand not only among us the rich, but also among us the middle class people. The middle class people, they always wished to use specialized different borders or different cloths with the traditional woven patterns. So this could not do by the machines, and especially the rich people and the middle class people preferred such a type of dresses. Did the textile manufacturers in Britain produce the very coarse cloths used by the poor people in India? The another thing is that poor people, they were used very rough clothes, or which the poor people in India, they were using, they used a coarse cloth. So the British manufacturers in Britain, their machine not producing this coarse cloth also. So you must have heard of Sholapur in Western India and Madurai in South India. This Sholapur in Western India and Madurai in South India, these towns emerged as important new centers of weaving in the late 19th century. That means Sholapur and Madurai developed as important new centers of weaving in the late 19th century. Later, during the national movement, that means our independence struggle, that moment, Mahatma Gandhi urged the people to boycott imported textiles and use hand-spun and hand-woven cloth. That means during the Swadeshi movement or our international movement, Mahatma Gandhi asked his people, or asked the people of India to boycott import textiles, means not use the import textiles, and ask the people to use hand-spun and hand-woven cloth. Khadi gradually became a symbol of nationalism. Then Khadi cloth, it became a symbol of Indian nationalism. The charka came to represent India. Charka, you know that. It also used for this weaving, cotton textile production, the charka and takli. Earlier we discussed that. And the charka came to represent India, and it was put at the center of the tricolor flag of Indian National Congress adopted in 1931. So in the year 1931, the flag of India used, or it placed the charka at the center of the flag. And in the year 1931, what happened to the weavers and spinners who lost their livelihood? That is our next question. What happened? No. Some weavers became agricultural laborers. Some weavers migrated to cities in search of work. That means some of the weavers, they moved to the cities in search of work. Others went out of the country to work in plantations in Africa and South America. Some other weavers, they went out of the country to work in plantations in Africa, South America, tea, coffee plantations, So they went outside to work. Some of these handloom weavers also found work in the new cotton mills that were established in Bombay. That means that nowadays we are calling it as Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Sholapur, Nagpur and Kanpur. So what is the question here? What happened to the weavers and spinners, those who lost their livelihood by the introduction of British cotton cloth in India and the international market? What is the answer? Some weavers became the agricultural laborers. Some others moved to the cities in search of work. Some others went out of the country to work in plantations. And some handloom weavers, they started working in the new cotton mills that were established in Bombay, Ahmedabad, Sholapur, Nagpur and Kanpur. So the decline of Indian textiles, I think you clear now, because of the machine made cotton cloth flooded the Indian market and the international market. What happened? The Indian weavers, the Indian cotton textiles and its domination in the international market began to decline. How it happened in step by step already we discussed. So what is the question here? How did the development of cotton industries in Britain affect the textile producers in India? How it happened? Indian textiles faced competition from British textiles in European and American market. Underline this. Export of textiles to England became more and more difficult because the British government imposed very high duties on Indian textiles. That also you have to underline. Then in the beginning of the 19th century, cotton textiles made in Britain successfully ousted the Indian goods from their traditional markets in Africa, America and Europe. What's the next point? Thousands of weavers in India were now thrown out of employment. Bengal weavers were the worst hit. English and European companies stopped to buy Indian goods. Their agents no longer gave out advances to weavers to secure supplies. Then the disappointed weavers, they wrote petitions to the government to help them. But what happened? Later in 1830s, British cotton cloth flooded the Indian markets. And what happened? About 67% of all the cotton cloths worn by Indians were made of cloth produced in Britain. This negatively affected the specialist weavers and the spinners of India. So how the decline of Indian textiles occurred, that we discussed. So underline the important points while listening the class, and in the time of listening you feel any doubt, you have to ask me. Wish you all the best. Thank you. Have a nice day.